Hey Moomers, I'm Mooma and I'm a former professional Overwatch League player and coach who's now helping Marvel Rivals players rank up and improve. In this session, I'm coaching Light, who is one of my oldest Overwatch students. He climbed all the way from Bronze to Masters. We focused on translating his skills to Marvel Rivals, and there's a lot to learn from it. His team comp this game was less than ideal, but with proper positioning and cooldown usage, you can still carry. If you found this video helpful, please remember to like and subscribe and drop a comment. I've got plenty more videos like this coming your way in the future. Let's get into it.
Maybe a little clunky here, but that's fine. Um, I'll probably be on your pod most anyway. Okay.
I'm changing my name, by the way, to Wrecking Ball main.
I like that. I'll have to start playing Venom. No, I like that though. Okay, so one of the first things that I should just mention right out the gate is that, playing Marvel Rivals, especially coming from it from playing Overwatch, having the no role queue format is going to be very, very, very different. So you remember in Overwatch, I used to tell you all the time that like you need to press tab at all times, and you always need to know what everyone's playing at all times. Take that up to a 10 in this game, because knowing like whether you're playing triple support or knowing if you're playing like solo tank or like a traditional 2-2-2 is going to be really, really important, like one of the most important things ever, right? So here looks like we actually only have one support, so that means that the fights need to happen pretty quickly, right? Like the sustain in this game is crazy, and that's why people are so keen to play like those massive 3 support comps. But if you're only playing one, you don't have that sustain, so your advantage over their team is going to be like just damage and pressuring the right target, getting early picks, that sort of thing, right? I'm assuming your team's gonna swap off that eventually, but
I wanted to go here, and I'll come in here too.
yeah, and this is definitely right. We love taking the high grounds. This is already kind of something I'm mentioning. Like a lot of players do have the habit of just wanting to go straight this way, and this is just one of the worst possible ways you can push, right? Like it just leaves you so exposed from, they can very easily control this high ground and shoot down on you, they can control this high ground, they can control this high ground. There's just so many different angles that they can spam down on you. So yeah, this is definitely reasonable to not want to go through this choke. And as the tank player, you mentioned you try to calm sometimes. You can only calm so much. You're right. You can't force your team to go where they should be. But honestly, at the end of the day, you can still go the way you want to go, right? So I like taking this high grounds. Even this choke point's not bad. There's actually, you can break this wall right here, and you can go through there instead, just so you don't have to burrow all through like this one little choke point. But yeah, this is definitely good. This is the way you should be going. And if your team doesn't want to go that way, you go this way anyway and get some free shots on the supports and maybe burst someone down. So no complaints with this.
I was looking for the support. Yeah, that rocket jumped out.
Good. No, that was great target priority. That was a good bubble as well. You could have been a little bit more eager to just hold that high ground, right? Like, yeah, you gave your team that big advantage on the pick. Maybe instead of just dropping down immediately, you could go to the bridge here and try to see if you can get an angle. Maybe there's, oh gosh, trying to get third free cam. Maybe see if there's a person you can spam from over here, over here, or even just shoot down on this Psylocke from up here, right? Because you definitely have a really big advantage with the 2 support kills, but especially with only having the 1 support, if someone on their team puts out a lot of damage real fast, like there's definitely still a world where their team can like clutch up and turn this. So I would be a little bit more eager just to maintain that good positioning, just for a smidge longer, right?
Right. Another Plus, you had like mobility.
Right. Yeah, that too. Another habit that I've noticed for a lot of players in this game, that you as an Overwatch player know better than. It's a little bit more nuanced, and like it's not exactly 1-to-1 because the cart time isn't capped at 3 in this game. It's capped at 4. A lot of people are much more eager to stack the cap really hard, right? Which isn't necessarily wrong. I think there's more situations in this game where it's right than it is in Overwatch, but the idea of like controlling space and like just letting one person cap while you can take map control is still going to be really prevalent. So that's another thing that you can kind of carry over. And right there, I mean, it kind of just looks like I don't know, you just kind of lost where you wanted to position, right? Like if you kind of gravitated towards like stacking with your team here, right? Like you got this cap here, you're over here on this angle, like this is a fine spot to control, right? Like you don't need to go corral yourself over here on the cart and just have like, because if you just go from this choke this choke over here, all you're doing is putting yourself in a position where it's even easier for the Groot to like split you guys, right? Because all 6 of your players are kind of just standing right here, right? Where if you stay over here more towards the side, you can still kind of have an angle to pressure the squishies that you want to pressure, and again, not stack all your damage on the same angle, right?
What about the high ground right there? Would you good spot over there on the right?
Yeah, for sure. That's where you probably want to be eventually, right? But you know, there's just no quick rotate from when you were right here, right? So if you're right here, you know, you might as well just play it from over here because it's still kind of you can also kind of kite if they like try to push you too far, right? Like if they see like, oh, the Magneto split here, you can kind of just hold S, and all they're gonna do is kind of overextend into your team having this off angle, right? Like, yeah, eventually you'll definitely want to be pushing from this height because it's, you know, just the high ground and lets you shoot down on them. But, you know, where you are because of you capping the first point, it's fine right now, right?
I shall not be removed so easily.
So here we are now.
I'm telling my team, let's go right here. I was like trying to tell them to come up here with me because a lot of them died.
Yeah. So I mean, another really big problem that I've noticed a lot of players have in this game is that just they're very keen to stagger, and it doesn't get much better in Celestial even. So kind of just gotta recognize that that's something that happens right now and do with it what you can. And
I was saying let's regroup as well right here. I was telling them in comms like let's just regroup.
Yeah, and that's good. I mean, you've got your spawn so close here. I will say something I've noticed a lot of players do is, and like anything, there's going to be a middle ground with this. The idea of like trying to like micro your teammates around. A lot of the time, I've noticed even in the higher ranks, right? People just won't listen. Like either they're you know lost in their own game or they're like not even in voice chat or something. So a lot of the time they'll just like keep staggering anyway. So I want you to find that middle ground between like being able to push aggressively while you're like in control space while you're down and waiting to regroup and not going in and feeding, right? So like right here, instead of just being the furthest person back and like, you know, pushing voice chat, yo, we need to regroup. I would still be a little bit more keen just to kind of take some space up here, right? Because you're also up on the high ground. If they try to push you up here, not everyone on their team is going to be able to get to this high ground, right? So like, yeah, you are down 2 and you do want to regroup, but you don't necessarily want to just sit AFK really far back because, frankly, your team might not get the memo and they might want to go and push it anyway, right? So I'd just be a little bit more keen to be up here in the front line. And you know, even with how close the spawn is, right? Like there's not much stopping you from, you know, pressuring this high ground right here, right? Like if you stand right here and shoot at this squirrel girl and get her off this high ground, you know, you're not exposed to most of their team and you're, you know, doing something while you just twiddle your thumbs and wait around, right?
Right.
Because also like, you know, yeah, again, your guy, your Hawkeye is just sitting here holding the choke. You could still be like, if you were bullying this and taking this space right here, even if your team's still regrouping, at least get your Hawkeye through this choke point so he can just be spamming arrows down the sideline, right? Like if you're gonna sit around and not do much, you got 2 really good characters that just want to just spam and try to open with picks, right? Like you guys still have a ton of damage with this team comp. So a really important thing about Magneto that, like, you know, kind of comparable to like Zarya in Overwatch is, you know, I've told you, like, when you're playing Zarya, a lot of the time you want to be giving allied bubbles, just because it shortens the cooldown in that game. In this game, there's not really that energy mechanic, but it still kind of enables your DPS more, right? So if you see your Spider-Man running in like this and this far ahead of you, and you know that Squirrel Girl's there, just give this bubble to him, right? Like you know that he's about to engage in this 1v1, just give that to him and help him take that fight, because you can also, again, just be walking on that and helping him. Like you don't need to be it's like what we've talked about always with like playing with intent, right? Making sure you're going on the targets you want to go on and shooting who you want to shoot. This Squirrel Girl is the #1 most pressing issue right now because she's the only one trying to control the height, and you've also got someone going to fight her. So instead of just mindlessly spamming into this big clump of people, go pressure that target with your spider, right? Help him fight that.
Right. Okay.
Okay, with that said, oh yeah, you just have no HP because we have one healer. And
Everybody was with me up top, and they all just went down. I was so confused.
yeah, and again, that's so. A big thing I want to point out in this game that's kind of similar to Overwatch as well. You know, it's doubly true with this comp right now because you guys are for some reason still playing solo healer. A lot of the times people like, yes, the sustain in this game is broken and healing is really strong, but a lot of the time people still get enamored with the I need more healing trap and not just like the I can take less damage trap, right? So maybe instead of just like standing right here where you're exposed to everyone here, you know, think about like the third person gameplay and the angles you can hold, and maybe instead of standing like in the doorway, try to stand a little bit more to the right. That way you can control how wide you swing. And you know, we used to talk about jiggle peeking corners all the time in Overwatch, right? Like that's really important in this game, especially because you have third person, right? And you got the health pack here. So same concept is like if you find yourself taking, or if you find yourself feeling like you aren't getting healed enough, remember that a big part of that is also that you could just find ways to take less damage, right? And
I wasn't even worried about that there. I was just like, why did y'all jump down? That's what I was trying to do.
yeah, and I mean, again, that's kind of what I mean with recognizing that, you know, especially in the rank that we're in right now, people aren't going to, you know, even the concepts that seem really basic to you as like a high level Overwatch player, a lot of people aren't going to grasp in this game. Like, like I said, even in my higher ranked games, like I'm still like trying to convince people like the high ground is good. You don't need to go on the point before it's unlocked, even, right? Like, and people just don't necessarily grasp that. So, and I mean, like I said, you're in gold, right? Like that's gonna happen. It's gonna happen a lot because it happens in much higher ranks too, right? Like people just don't they don't understand these core concepts yet, which is why it's really important that you take that knowledge and you take that advantage that you have and you kind of run with it, right? You know that you can be up here on this high ground and shoot down on them, like, but if their team all wants to sit down here on the low ground and just 6 people stand here and fight 6 people standing here, right? Like you can go up to this high ground and, you know, put that pressure on the targets that you actually want to pressure, right? Like instead of like, you know, feeling like you need to, I'm gonna go babysit my team and I'm gonna drop off this high ground and I'm gonna go just front line here in this like narrow choke point where you've got like no space to move and you've got no angles you can take. Go be that smarter player that I know you are and come pressure this high ground and, you know, pressure the target that you want to. And yeah, it kind of sucks that your team's not following you, but you abusing that really powerful position should be enough to should still be enough to carry that, right? Like it kind of stinks, but that's just something you kind of have to accept. Because a lot of the time too, when you play a position like that, what will happen, I found, is you'll be able to put a lot of pressure on the supports from up here, and then the supports will start running this way, and they'll be like, they're shooting me from the high ground, because supports are just so much more keen to just like run away and be like scared, and then you've made like this massive amount of space where now the supports have backed up to here and the tanks and the DPS are still trying to fight here. So you've now you can kind of drop down and like you've completely segmented them and split them off, right?
Right. Yeah, and another issue I've been having is like on domination maps is like it'll be 80% and we're all respawning. And I know we have plenty of time to touch, but like someone will just run out there to touch with 90% left, die, and then stagger us and then we leave. Happens to me all the time.
It happens to me a lot too, and I'm stressing this a lot, and I think this is probably going to be a theme for this, is just recognizing again you have that advantage being a high ranked Overwatch player, right? Like you understand like concepts like this, and frankly, you know, right now this game's just a lot more popular than Overwatch, right? So you've got a lot more players, and that means that the players that actually do understand these things that I know you understand are already going to be like a cut above, and they're going to be climbing much faster, right? So you know, just gotta recognize that the player level that we're playing with, and like instead of getting frustrated with them, just, you know, control what you can control, you know.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Because again, like right here, see, this is a very good example of you just being smarter, right? Like you just know that like we don't need to be having a bunch of people stacked on the point here. We already have a kill. Some of we already have a kill. Some of our team's already pressured up, right? Like controlling this space and controlling this high ground is so much more impactful than just having that one extra person on cards, right? So this is good positioning. This is exactly what you want to be doing. I will say, I think maybe to me what this looks like is like you aren't really thinking about their team comp too much, right? Like you should again really know what you're playing against and know who your primary targets are and like actively be seeking them, especially when you have the full charge and you can chunk someone with your right click, right? So maybe instead of you're holding this high ground, you know you have a pick advantage right now, so you should be looking to be aggressive. You know, just try to be a little bit more intentful with your targets, right? You see the squirrel girl there. You honestly you might not have seen the Psylocke, but like even if you hadn't seen the Psylocke, you should still want to be like taking this angle so you can start to, you know, keep looking around and, you know, find that target that you actually want to shoot on, because right now you're kind of just looking this way and like that's just your team that you're kind of looking at, right? Like you have that kill, you have that advantage. We should be looking to pressure that advantage a lot harder than we are.
Okay.
Again, especially when we have our full charge, right? Like this is so much burst damage that we have available to us, and same way in Overwatch, how you should be keen to use your skills. That's true in this game too, right? Like the time that you're sitting here with all your cooldowns and your full charged right click and you're not using it is time wasted, right? So instead of pressing S here, again, you have the advantage. You should be walking up here trying to take this fight to them. Don't just let them come take this high ground from you. You almost have the combo to like burst them and like almost one shot them, right? Like Mag does a lot of burst damage when he's full charged and he has his bubble and he can, you know, get that charge back, right? So be more keen to take this fight.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I love this hero. That sucked because I just got.
Yeah, the high ground just got broken above you. Yeah, that's always tough. Okay, so that ult wasn't really super bad, but it was.
She died. That's
sorry?
why I popped it. The Mantis popped ult. That's why I popped it. But then she died as soon as she popped ult. Or maybe she was already dead. I don't know. Usually I try to save my ult for the sustaining support ults.
Yeah, that's I mean that's definitely like that's another understanding what team comp you're playing against, because there are a lot of different things that you can save your ult for, right? Like obviously countering cloak ult's a really big one. You know, like you said, countering the sustaining support ult is really good. I really love popping mag ult when like a Punisher ults, because you'll just get charged to full like instantly. So, and then you could just blow him up pretty much instantly too. So yeah, that is how Mag's ult should be used. It looks like the Mantis is already dead here, so it was a little random, but it sounds like you have the right thought for it here. We can just call that one a fluke or something. But the big issue that we had in that fight was just we had such a good advantage with the kill and we had such good positioning advantage, but we just weren't keen enough to press it, right? Like we kind of just twiddled our thumbs on the high ground until eventually someone knocked us down, and then we've kind of lost that positioning. Okay, so here I don't hate this. I do think we could clean the pathing up a little bit, just because like instead of walking down main and giving your team that one person down main, you do have another tank, right? So you can take that little bit of extra time to maybe just come approach this angle instead, right? Come approach from up here, and then, you know, peek this window, see if anyone needs a bubble. If not, you can walk up here, and then, you know, it's just what we used to talk about, having how taking the high ground gives you the option to drop down, right? Like you don't need to start on the low ground. Like if you start up here, you have the option to drop down, where if you come from main here and you have a reason to want to go to the high ground, you don't have that choice, right?
Right. Even if I was solo tank, though, it would be better if I went up top, right?
That makes it a little bit more nuanced, just because your team was like so quickly pushing main. Maybe if you were solo tank, I'd be a little bit more keen to walk main, but also at the same time, like again, it's the option, right? Like even if you walk up these stairs, it only adds like 1 extra second to your rollouts, and then you can peek right here and like decide like, okay, does my team need me more urgently right here? And if they do, you can drop down and go with them, right? And if they don't, you can take that little bit of extra time to go take that much superior positioning, right?
All right.
especially with the breakable map geometry, right? That's always something to consider too. A lot of the times you can just like manipulate the map in a way you want, and just, you know, if you take too long of a path, you can just slow down for a second and press your B key and figure out where you can break and, you know, make your own new entrance, right?
All right.
So this is great positioning here. I like what you're doing here. All I really gotta say is just I think you can afford to be even a bit more aggressive, right? Your team's back here, like their team's walking into this choke point. You've got like the best positioning possible here. Maybe instead of just pressuring from this high ground and shooting like down into this choke point, what if you pressured from over here? That way you can maybe peek this side, or even better yet, you could actually be like shooting at the supports here, because you've got these long hallways too that, like, if they try to chase you into here, it's really going to be easier for you to hit all your shots, hit all your right clicks, and you're still close enough to your team where you can get back to them if you need to, right? But your team's currently got so much free space because they're trying to walk through these choke. I think you could just be a bit more aggressive and more intentful with the targets that you're actively like trying to shoot here. So that was good peel. Unfortunately, your team's already down a bunch right now, so really all you can do is I probably would have been a little bit more eager to stay up there, but it also, wow, actually you got pinched from the side anyway, so it doesn't make too big of a difference.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna get away here, but I don't think I did.
Yeah, and that's another. So like I think you made the right decision there. I probably would have tried to live there too, but I will say that's another really big problem a lot of players in this game have thus far, is that they just are so keen to like stagger and like back up like that instead of just dying on carts, right? And it really eats into the time bank a lot. So like I'm mentioning it just because it's something I see a lot. I think in that situation right there, it was probably fine, but just something to consider.
Is at your service, my friends.
Oh, well. Sometimes you miss.
He
That's
died
life. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yep,
That's a good way to look at it. Okay, so here, what was that?
I thought the Psylocke was over there, but I think I missed her. She dashed out. I missed it.
Yeah, and that's fine. Well, it looks like. Yeah. Regardless, though, and this is something I've noticed a few times, it does feel to me like you're a little bit too keen to try to like really hard peel. I think you can still control. I think you can afford to control a little bit more space and kind of just trust that your team's going to come to you if they need peel. Because if you're like, you guys already have the kill, maybe instead of being like all the way wide over here, like hoping you can find that Psylocke, think about how much more pressure you would put if you were like up here in this choke point, kind of forcing them to come back, right? Because like, so maybe if their team's a little bit further forward and they do try to come like save the Psylocke or something, if you're standing right here and the rest of your team's standing over there, it's going to be pretty easy for them to just burrow through this choke point and, you know, provide her support. Where if you play, you know, right here or right here, you know, that puts so much more pressure and they kind of have to just walk past you, and that can't really happen. And then you're also Magneto. You've got like the range damage. You don't necessarily need to be like in melee range. So even if you're standing right here, just your presence here will kind of scare them a bit and stop them from walking through this choke so freely, and you can still like put pressure and damage towards that way, and, you know, have line of sight of people to give them bubbles, right? So just again, the idea of controlling space and recognizing the really powerful like choke points and like kill boxes that you actually want to hold in, right?
All right.
So again, unfortunately, you see that kind of shows what happens right there, right? Like you were really wide. They kind of got to start, like, they got to come from this high ground, they got to start walking to this choke point, you had the map control, but because you played so passively and away from where you wanted to stuff them, they kind of were able to just push from a bunch of angles, and now they've gotten, like, so much space, and it's really, really hard for us to, you know, we lost the advantage we had, right? Where if you were standing right here, if their team starts to drop down from right here, you can swing this corner and see if you can start putting pressure on, like, the supports or the people that you actively want to be putting the pressure on, right? Maybe instead of, because now that they've dropped down and taken that space, you know, this fight gets a lot harder because you're just surrounded, opposed to being the aggressor like we want to be, right?
All right.
Yeah, definitely right there. That was a little close, just because I feel like we lost track of where our cloak ult was, right? Like that's a problem I kind of have a lot too. Nice ult. Just because like the cloak ults, like they're like the same color almost. So it's kind of hard to determine which is and isn't ours. But you almost just got too far away from it right there. So make sure you're a little bit closer to where you need to be, right? And then that fight right there, a big thing in that fight is you kind of, when you play tank in this game, your position on the map is much more important than it is in Overwatch. And I mean like your exact position, right? Like a lot of this fights, you kind of was just like, you were kind of just walking around in the open, like letting yourself be surrounded from a lot of different angles instead of just standing in one spot and being like, this is the spot I'm going to control and this is the angle I'm going to hold, right? So maybe instead of just kind of constantly moving and bringing yourself around here, what if we just constantly try to like play this corner, right? Especially the tempo that Magneto shoots at, it kind of lets you like jiggle peek and kind of, you know, change how exposed you are, right? You peek out, shoot a shot, break line of sight, right? That kind of thing. It also makes it a lot easier on your supports to, you know, just dump the broken sustain and healing abilities into you, and just makes it a lot easier for them instead of having to like chase you around, right? So I want you to just put a little bit more emphasis into holding the powerful positions that let you kind of just stand there and aim instead of like trying to like chase targets around, right?
Only 60
Right.
seconds left.
It's especially true with him too, because I think his mouse one does more damage the further it, not like if it travels further. I think.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm not even exactly sure. That's
Yeah,
we'll have to look
I'm
at
not
the,
gonna
we'll have to look at the. I didn't think that was a thing, but maybe you're right. I'll have to look at the wiki.
I thought I had that Moon Knight, but our Spider-Man pulled him into their cloak ult. I thought I had him separated from it. That's why I used my right click on him. I was trying to get him away from the cloak ult.
Right.
But now Spider-Man pulled him into it.
Yeah, and that's pretty unfortunate. That's also that's just a really, frankly, a tough fight going into it with again your guys' Stolo, or well, I guess you have the raccoon now, but you're going into like their support ult when you don't have one, right? So I guess another thing that's going to be pretty important is just trying to pay attention to what support ults you have and how close you guys are to them, right? So maybe in going into this fight when you don't have a support ult, instead of being so eager to get super aggressive on the back line, what if you just play a little bit more defensively and kind of play to make sure that your cloak finishes her ult, right? Because if you get that cloak ult out in this fight, this changes a lot, right? So maybe instead of just trying to rush past the cart and put pressure on the back line, you can't. This is one of those opportunities where you can kind of just chill in the choke and kind of play that damage trade and just kind of trade resources, right?
Right. Yeah.
Especially because yeah, that was also like last fight territory, right? So you know, if we look at that and think about our ult economy, you know, you don't have ult yet. When the fight started, your cloak didn't have ult yet. We're fine with that fight going long because it's going to be the last fight of the game regardless, and you know that because you know the time's there, and you know you're not going to be able to get back and get another touch in time. So you know, just be a little bit more patient, right? Like play to the ults that you're close to, and you know, give your supports those opportunity to again just abuse the broken sustain in this game and let that fight go a little bit longer.
Okay.
2, 2.
So I don't really like holding here.
Yes, I would not like holding here either.
I was just afraid my team would just die up here, so they're just standing here. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like I'm afraid if I don't go up there, they'll just die.
Right, and that is true. I don't love that they're holding this. I don't think it's completely awful either, especially as like a Hawkeye. I think this is like a lot of wide open space that they have to take. So allowing him to kind of take some shots here is fine. I think maybe you could just honestly be a little bit more aggressive here and just try to put pressure out with him as he does, and and see because like if he hits someone with a shot and you right click him too, like that person's gonna blow up, right? So I think you can afford to put a little bit more pressure up here with him, and if you see them a little bit like moving to this right side, you can just rotate away from him, right? Because like if he wants to stay here and die on this angle, that's his prerogative. But you standing here and just like feeling like you need to babysit him, if that leads to them coming this way and getting through this choke point for free, that's points, right? So yeah, right now you kind of do have to babysit him, but making sure you know where you want the fight to take place, and you can hold like the choke point and hold the death boxes is like number one, right? Again, also you do have mags, like if he does get engaged on, you can always like bubble him if you have to too, right?
Right. Yeah.
So right here, both your DPS die. Kind of unfortunate. I will say another big advantage you have to a lot of other players right now with your understanding of Overwatch, and a lot of players do not recognize this at all, is just you can back up and give ticks, right? Like you lost both DPS instantly. That doesn't mean you need to like just die and give up this point, right? Like you can tell your team, all right, let's back up, wait for our DPS to get back, back up this way, come take this high ground. Let him get a few ticks and then try to recontest, right? The way you're pathing right now, you're isolating yourself really hard. Like you're putting yourself over here. So if their team walks through and takes this space right here, you've completely split yourself off, and now you're either going to die like staggered from your DPS, or your supports are going to feel like they need to come rescue you, and you guys are going to die staggered, and then you're going to lose that opportunity to have that and have that recontest, right? So you need to recognize quicker that your DPS died, and if you don't leave immediately, which I think isn't necessarily wrong, you need to at least be in a position to where you can start to back up, because right here, look at how on an island you are. You've got the DPS coming above you, you've got the tanks ready to split you off. Like you're isolating yourself really hard here.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, you get some solid healing, but another one of your DPS die, and like you're just trying to force this fight way too hard, right? Like you don't need to be like running this person down. Like that's a solid kill, but at the end of the day, you are at such a massive disadvantage already because you guys lost so many people early, right? We could have just kited this and tried to recontest this.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I should have just backed up and regrouped.
Yeah, and that's just again you can recognize, like a lot of people don't realize that like the ticks take a while to get. Like yeah, it's a little bit faster in Overwatch because you can stack more, but you do still have that little bit of extra time, and you still can find opportunities to kite out and recontest, especially with how broken the sustain is, right? Again, like even if you feel like you need to force this a little bit and you need to put a little bit of pressure here, if you start to back up here, you even can like kind of cycle some of your cooldowns. Like I'm gonna stand here, I'm gonna bubble myself, I'm gonna shield a little bit, just to slow them down a little bit, and also to let your supports like stand behind you and just start spamming ult charge, right? Like they're gonna build so much ult charge, and then once your team is getting close, you can back up completely, let yourself get all your resources back, and then go for that recontest where even if you don't win it, which is like fine, like if they've captured like 80% of it and they won the first fight convincingly, they probably have ult advantage anyway, so you probably won't win the fight, but even if it makes them burn some ult in time off the clock, that's more than enough, right?
All right.
You are under my protection. Clean up your toys.
Against the world.
So again, I think another really big advantage you have that a lot of people again don't recognize is that just like forcing fights on the cart, right? Like stalling the cart progress. I mean that is at the end of the day how you win, right? So right here, you've got the high ground and you're shooting down on them. You have good target priority here, like you're shooting the squishies, but you can be more aggressively like taking the space while you shoot at her, right? Like you can be walking towards her, getting ready to hit that right click, and just kind of like letting yourself brawl on the cart too, because again you are down one here, the problem here is that you don't really have the luxury to just like run away and reset, because all that's going to do is like stagger you guys off the carts. So if you're up here fighting and you know they have the ult advantage because they won the first fight so convincingly, be a little bit more eager to take that fight to the cart just to make them waste ults. And like right here, once that cloak ults, like they're gonna win this fight, right? They're probably gonna win this fight. Like you don't have your mag ult yet to deny to break it. Yes, you're close to yes, you have your cloak ult, but like you're also still down one. So like you could have been a little bit more active in like trying to take this fight faster, and maybe even, you know, when you had the Mantis like hiding behind the cart here and the cloak's like ulting this way, maybe if your response isn't to like back up, your response could have been to go forward, and you could have maybe like used your right click to like knock her away from the cloak ult, right? And like maybe burst her down. Because if you're able to do that and you get like that burst kill, you know, that puts things a lot more in your favor, right?
Right, yeah.
And makes the fight actually winnable. Also, another thing here, I don't know where you're going, right? Like your cloak ulted back, right? Like go get in that cloak ult. Like I don't love this she's ulting here, but I also that's also why like the main thing I said here was like you need to be more eager to push, right? You could have been fighting that Mantis a lot more aggressively. Here you've got your cloak ulting, like you should be up there fighting in that, right? You also have bubble, and you know, like I mentioned with mag ult, you know, you're not playing against a mag, so you don't need to make sure you're bubbling her for the mag ult, but they do have a Hawkeye, right? Or so, oh my gosh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong team. They don't have too much burst damage, so I guess having the bubble on her isn't as important here. But still, like you need to be fighting in it, because I really not sure where we're going, right? Like your team's like cloaked out on card, like you really just left the fight.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I thought we were down more than we were.
And that's kind of my point, right? Like even when you are down some, like fighting, like just like backpedaling and holding S like this, remember, like they're getting cart time the whole time we're just like running away, right? So at least forcing the fight on the cart is going to burn some of their time, right?
Right.
So again, this kind of just felt like a panic ult to me, right? Like I think you just again need to be a little bit more thoughtful about the team comps and know what you're playing against and know what you actually want to be mag ulting or what you want to be trying to counter with your mag ult, because you know when Psylocke ults, she's invincible, right? So
Oh, is she?
yes, she is. She's invincible, and her ult is also, it deals a base amount of damage to, but it's put out to everyone on the team like in a percentage, right? So if there's only one person in it, it's going to deal 100% of the damage to that person. But if there's two people in it, both of the people are only going to take 50% of the damage, right? So honestly, the way you counter Psylocke ult a lot of the time is just to have everyone go inside of it, because then, you know, her damage is split amongst the team, right? Yeah, it is kind of strange, but that is what you want to do. And then also your bubble is really massive against it too. So like instead of trying to ult her, like turn around and look for that bubble, right? Yeah, okay. So you just thought you could kill her during her ult. You can't, so make sure we don't do that anymore. With that said, holy moly, you just found, I can't believe you just found both supports with that. That's like such massive value. That was, wow.
When I use it, I try to look to the left, and I try to make it look like I'm not going to throw it at them, and then at the last second I try to...
Yeah, no, that's really smart. That ult was not bad. You definitely made the most of it. Albeit for wrong reasons, but you got value out of it. So you know what, we take it. Good card test here. This is good. This was good to go up here and take a fight. Good picks by your team. This is good. So here, you know, this is good. You're marking the flank. You don't really have many opportunities to go up and take space here, just because like we only have one fight left, so you are kind of forced to fight on the card. I don't mind you going over there to pressure that Psylocke. I think that was good target focus. You get on the Moon Knight here. Here you're fighting in the cloak ult. That's good. Your target focus here was on point. Solid support ult. Solid decision making. Good. Honestly, I'd say just keep putting pressure into that Psylocke behind her, because if you hit her one more time, she's basically just gonna run away, and then you can just finish the grid off really easily, right? But
Right. Yeah, that's true.
It's also pretty inconsequential because you guys already had so many kills, so it's fine regardless, really. And right here again, so another thing that people in the same vein as like people are not very good at not staggering right now, that works against them too, right? So you guys you just killed the Groots. What are these? Look at all these squishy characters on their team. Why do they think? Who do they think they are playing this far forward? Right? Push this tempo.
Mhm.
Right? Go force these staggers. Go. You should be holding W right here. You can be pushing all. Like you have all your abilities. You have all your shield HP. You have all your resources, and these people are pushed up so far forward. Look at how low that Psylocke is. Why are you not throwing your right click at her? Why are you not like trying to force this fight into their faces? And you know, you use your cooldowns. Right? Like you're by the time that Groot's got a long ass walk. By the time he gets back to the fight, you're gonna have those cooldowns back anyway, so that was a really massive opportunity. You had to build a lot of ults and to get a lot of staggers. You even have a rocket jump boost, right? Like you have so many reasons that you have so many resources and so much. So the game is begging you to go push tempo, and like your Hawkeye or nope, sorry, your Cloak gets another kill. Like let's go fight someone. Like let's go. Their team's splitting and they've been staggering a lot. What you could even jump yourself up here and start go pressure from this high ground, right? Like think about your resources you have and be more keen to pressure this fight. Like we saw on the offense how bad teams can be at staggering and how frustrating it is to have your team do it. Recognize that their team's going to be making that same mistake, and let's be a lot harder to exploit it because they're being very silly and we are not punishing it at all.
Alright, I think I remember my Rocket was complaining that he kept getting flanked by the Moon Knight. I think that's why I kept on going backwards.
And I mean, sure, but like, again, if they're trying to push in this staggered, like if that Rocket is able to solo flank, or if their Moon Knight is able to solo flank your Rocket and kill him, he wasn't long for this world anyway, right? Like, let it happen.
Heads up, back guys.
Yeah, see, this is, again, it's just, remember how much in Overwatch, the word I always use, intent. We're just playing with no intent here. We're just standing around, just waiting for them to come to us, and letting them execute their game plan, and we're kind of just reacting to it, right? You're not putting any pressure on their approach, you're not looking at their team comp and going on the targets you want to go on, you're kind of just standing here and just holding S and just like watching the fight develop in front of you instead of making the fight develop in front of you the way you want it to be, right?
Alright, that's what I should have mag-ulted that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say too. Mag-ult, yeah, it's Cloak. This is just the freest kill in the world. Especially when like you do need to consider what they have to like cleanse it, right? Like if they have a Strange that can shield it, or a Magneto, obviously Magneto bubble and Cloak ult's really common. They don't have any of that. They literally have nothing on their team that can stop it. Get the free Cloak kill, get the free ult cancel. It's free. Get inside that. Walk into there.
Yeah,
Also bubble your team. Yeah, obviously you didn't know about it here, so I can't expect you to change it here. But next time do that. And also, but you did know that you have bubble, so bubble your teammates.
Yeah, I think I tried to, and I don't know, I think I just botched it.
Also, okay, so we are finally ulting. Good. Nice, solid ult. Again, I think a big thing that carries over from Overwatch is like in Overwatch, I always tell you, ult with tempo. The faster you use your ult, the faster you get to start building another one. That's the case. Yes, there are abilities and ultimates in this game that you should be saving your ult for, right? Whether it's like a Punisher ult or a Cloak ult, but they don't have any of those, and ults build so much faster in this game than they do Overwatch. So having even more of a desired ult in this game is a really, really good thing. So.
It's funny they C9 to just let me win because of my ult instead of...
Yeah, that's true too. That's true too. But then again, also what I'm saying is like again, it's just playing with the intent, playing with the purpose. Like there was so much space that they got for free. Imagine like there's like 5 seconds left and they're all standing like way back there, and they have to just like walk forward into you, like already pressuring them, already ready to ult, right? Like you could put a lot more pressure on them there.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, of course.
Cool. Well, GG's.
Yeah, GG's. That was
a-
fun.
Yeah, that was fun.